Is my child a narcissist? Most probably, yes. Hi, I'm Michelle Paradise, and welcome to my channel, Finding Paradise, where I offer evidence-based information coupled with my personal experiences to help you navigate challenging relationships, especially the one with yourself. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about a question I get asked a lot. Is my child a narcissist? Yes. We're all born narcissistic. The first year of our lives, think about it. We can't do anything for ourselves. We can't change ourselves. We can't feed ourselves. We can't walk. We can't talk. We can't even turn ourselves over when we're sleeping. So yes, we are totally narcissistic, and that's exactly the way it's meant to be. Then we slowly begin to separate and individuate from our parent figures. Now, I'm going to use the term parent figures because we're not always raised by our biological parents. Sometimes we're raised by our grandparents or a guardian or a foster parent. So parent figure is the term I'm going to use. And around 3, we begin to individuate and separate from the people that are raising us. And that's a good thing. We're developing our personality. Now, the development of our personality, the development of our brain, the development of our ability to process our thoughts and our emotions ends around 25, 26 years old. That's when our brain is fully matured, let us say, fully formed, and we're able to process our thoughts and feelings. Narcissistic personality style, which is what I prefer to use. We're not talking about NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. Of course, this information pertains to them, but I'm not specifically talking about them. I'm talking about narcissistic personality style. They have not achieved this goal of fully standing on their own 2 feet, being able to process their emotions, their thoughts. So they could be a man, a woman, a person fully grown with a child's mind. When I say with a child's mind, I don't mean that they're not fully formed in terms of their education and their ability to do all the things that add, subtract, multiply, all of those things. I'm talking about their emotions. They're emotionally stunted. They are stuck in childlike behaviors, which I will talk more about in a minute, what they look like. So if you have a child that is presenting as narcissistic, such as, let's say, oppositional, aggressive, entitled, delusional, controlling, hurting others, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a narcissist, because most adolescents are very narcissistic. They have a lot of narcissistic traits. The world revolves around them. They live in a bubble. They want what they want when they want it, and they don't take no for an answer. And you can see this through the development of all children, that they have these traits. But I will say it again. The good news is that we outgrow them. Most of us outgrow them. Most of us develop our personality to get our needs met through ourselves, not from outside in. So we are engaging with the world. We are understanding. We have compassion. Narcissistic personality style hasn't achieved that. They are still stuck in me, 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 me. Everything is for me. I want that. I want this. And if I don't have it, I'm going to have a tantrum, or as I like to say, a mantrum. Because some men and women do have tantrums when they are adults. I'm sure you've seen that yourself. So what we want for the child is we really want the child to individuate, to become independent. That is the goal. And that they leave us. We have given them the best foundation, and the best foundation always starts with safety, because the child must feel safe. Nothing grows when there isn't safety. Love doesn't grow, happiness doesn't grow. Nothing grows without safety. And I'll get to this in a bit, but I'll mention it now. Narcissistic personality style individuals are, in my opinion, the most insecure people in the room, which surprises a lot of people, because when you meet a narcissistic type person, they can come across as very confident, very comfortable in their own skin. But trust me, they are checking in with the outside world constantly to see how they're doing. And they are questioning themselves, what they say, what they do. but you can't see that because they know how to style that out. So if you have a child that is presenting as narcissistic, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a narcissist, because most adolescents present narcissistic traits and then mature and learn how to process their thoughts and emotions. And they are able then to show more compassion and understanding for others. Now, this is the really good news. The child's brain, as I said, isn't fully formed until they're about 26 years old. And we have this wonderful ability to change our patterns through neuroplasticity of the brain, which is the brain's ability to reform, remold, rethink, morph, change. So this is the way I like to describe it to make it easier. Imagine in your mind, you're going down a road. So you have this belief that, and this belief has a road. You're driving down that road every day, and this is your pattern. These are your thoughts. And then you grow up and you begin to realize that this isn't working for me anymore. I'm not engaging with people in the way I'd like to. I don't know if people like me. I want a relationship, whatever. And then when you have that awareness, because awareness is always the first step to healing, that awareness allows us to make some changes. And those changes would be, in this case, a new road. Let's say we build a new road. So we have this neurocortical pathway in our brain that we are able, it's like a road, we're able to put a detour on that road and to go down this road instead, where it's based on our choices that are healthy for us. So as you know, I bring my own personal experiences in, and what I'm about to say about my children, I'm sure won't embarrass them. But both of them, there were times, I mean, of course, when they were babies, yes, they were very narcissistic, but that was exactly how they were meant to be. And then they began to individuate and separate. But when they got to their adolescence, they both were quite challenging. And I could have been in that space and thought, mind you, I didn't know this stuff then, but if I had, I would have thought, is my child a narcissist? Is my child narcissistic? Because there was, a lot of teenage tantrums, and they were oppositional at times. But then I came to realize through my work that this was absolutely normal. So don't immediately think because my child is difficult or oppositional or maybe bullies their siblings, however that shows up, don't necessarily jump to those conclusions, because I'm going to give you some tips on parenting around this in a minute, but just know that this is a process that they are going through, and it's a very important process, because through their opposition and their rebelliousness, they are learning more about themselves. They're learning about boundaries, which are super important, because children in narcissistic relationships, which I am one of, having a father who was a narcissist, you don't learn boundaries, because everything is my way or the highway. It's their way or the highway. So you don't learn to develop your own boundaries. You don't learn to develop that part of self, gut feelings, where you know when something is right or wrong, or that you don't want to do it. So it's not the parent's fault, even though the child is getting all of their cues from their environment, all the people in their environment, including mother and father, parent figures, whoever it is. It's not the parent's fault, but it is definitely the parent figure's responsibility to navigate the situation with the child to achieve the best outcome. Now, in any personality adaptation that the child develops growing up, because this is a personality adaptation in response to their environment, they want things their way, and as I said, they're quite insecure and they don't feel safe. Now, I want you then to look at the circumstances around the child. So if we go back to my children, I can absolutely pinpoint that this was in the thick of the divorce that I was going through. That's when these things really came to the surface. So divorce can be something that will definitely affect the child's personality adaptation, their response, their reactiveness to the world. Mental and physical health issues of the parent figures. If a parent is ill mentally or physically, the child may feel very insecure. They might feel that they are going to be abandoned by that parent. I'm not saying they are, but remember, children don't understand the nuance of things like illness and long hospital stays. They just think, are my parents coming back? There may be socioeconomic issues. There may be long working hours by one of the parent figures or both of the parent figures. There may be work that takes the parent figure away for long periods of time. And the child doesn't have a concept of time. The child is like, when is mommy or daddy or whoever coming back? They don't think about they have to go on a business trip for 7 days and they will be back. Now, I have had several people write to me about this, and I want to acknowledge how heartbreaking and exhausting this is for the parent figure to parent a child that you think has a lot of narcissistic personality traits. I absolutely feel for you. I know how difficult that is. And as I said, people have written to me and I respond in the best way I can. And I don't want you to think that it is you that are the problem, because sometimes the other parent or the other parent figure could be a narcissist themselves, suffering from narcissistic personality style. And remember, children are modeling the behavior of everyone in their environment, especially the ones that they aspire to or the ones that they want to please. So in my case, my brother modeled the behavior of my father. So when you're parenting a narcissistic, possibly narcissistic child, because I think you really need to give them time. And in that time, you need to do things to ensure that they can move away, that you can rebalance their need to go into the narcissistic personality style. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, because our children are not dogs, but it is like training a puppy. You know, a puppy pees on the pee mat many times and then doesn't. And we don't go, oh, that the puppy will never learn to pee outside or when it goes for a walk. It does. Okay? So children are the same. You need an awful lot of patience. And the most important word I'm going to say to you today is consistency. The same with training a puppy or anything else in your life. It is consistency and patience. What does a child need to avoid personality style or full-blown NPD? And I'm going to say it again. They need consistency. They need reliable, available, and present parent figures when they are with them. Get off your technology and be present with the child, because we now know that for most narcissistic personality style, they experience anxious, ambivalent attachment to their parent figures, their caregivers. And what I mean by that is somewhere along the line, again, there's no blame to the parents because some circumstances just cannot be avoided, but somewhere along the line, the child felt that they are either going to be abandoned or rejected by the parent, that the parent figures' love and availability may have been conditional to the child or may not have been on tap when they needed it and when they wanted it. So it creates this very push-pull relationship with the child and the parent figure. Will they love me? Won't they love me? Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Goes back to me saying that about the insecurity of the narcissistic child at that time. So I'm not saying they will become a narcissist, because what I'm about to tell you is really good news. These are things you can do to either prevent or change, because remember, they have a lot of neuroplasticity. We have it until we're well into our 90s, so it's not something that fades, but it is something really important when the child is young that you can do this with them. You can do some of these things. So bear in mind, they might be in this push-pull. Do they love me? Don't they love me? Are they coming back? Are they not coming back? They don't understand the challenges that you have at work, the health challenges, things like that. So communicating on their terms is the best possible thing you can do with them. Now, sometimes these children show up with psychotic episodes. When I say these children, I'm talking about children that you may think have narcissistic personality style. If there are things like psychotic episodes, I would really encourage you to have the child assessed for any mental health issues, all mental health issues, because there may be something else going on. The child also may be taking part in substances, drugs, alcohol, things that you have no awareness of. And that can lead to psychosis, psychotic episodes. So please get them checked by a mental health professional for other issues, because therapy, intervention can be a great tool for the child and for you in a situation like this. Get help for yourself. Get help for you to learn how to navigate this, because you might have come from a narcissistic family. You might have come from a family that had other mental health issues that you haven't, lots of unprocessed trauma, unresolved issues. So there's a great quote. I never know who said it. I think it's quite anonymous still, but it's heal the mother, heal the child, and that goes for the father as well. They are looking to you for their cues. So if you are dysregulated, destabilized, get help for yourself first or in tandem with the child. So much has to do with how they're attached to their parent figures. So it is not blaming the parent figures, just being aware that one parent might have issues that prevents them connecting to the child in an emotionally healthy way. However, that parent on the other side really needs to carry the burden of this. They need to be very consistent, very reliable, very available, and very present when they are with the child. I'm not saying that you and your partner aren't, or if it's just you on your own. I'm just explaining the best environment for the child to grow up in and individuate and separate without becoming narcissistic. So I'm going to give you 4 suggestions on the way forward. If you have any awareness that there might be this narcissistic personality style developing in your child, be consistently available, be responsive, and be present. Consistency is the greatest need for the child because it counterbalances their fears, their anxieties, their insecurity. It creates safety. You must become a safety net. 2, be present and not distracted by technology or something else. Have good routines around when you see them and when you say goodbye to them. Now, that may sound very simplistic, but it's not. It's really anchoring the engagement with the child. So, maybe you take them to school in the morning. Have some sort of ritual with them of how you say goodbye, that it's very soothing for them. You can even have like a secret handshake or a special way that you kiss them on the cheek or handing them their lunch and wishing them a good day. I don't know. And when you meet them again, have something there as well. Be very happy to see them, even if they're grumpy and how was your day? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Just keep yourself very present with them and help them to be the co-regulator for them, because they're dealing with a lot of dysregulation. So you want to co-regulate them. And what that means in a situation like this is have really calm, present energy with them so you can be there. This reassures the child that the parent figure can leave and still come back, and that creates more safety for the child. Number 3, be aware of your own attachment style. Maybe you are anxious ambivalent. Maybe you're avoidant. Maybe you're disorganized. I talk about this in another video, which I'll highlight here. Because remember, they're picking up everything that you're doing. Most, as I said earlier, but not all narcissists have developed anxious attachment style, and it is good for you to explore yours so that you can navigate that with your child. And also learn more. There's a lot of information out there. I've done some videos on attachment styles. Learn more about your child's attachment style. Approach it from the anxious ambivalent and see if that fits. Because anxious attachment leads to a push-pull relationship, so it is the parent figure's responsibility to ensure that the child feels safe with their love and availability as much as possible. And number 4, really good news. It only takes one securely attached parent figure to raise a child who doesn't fall into narcissistic behavior, to prevent that. And it is never too late to help them make the changes now. I was raised in a narcissistic family, and I ended up with disorganized attachment style. And yes, I was personally very insecure. But what I also did is I chose men who were very much like my father, because that was very familiar to me. And I created this unconscious template about this is what a relationship is meant to be like. And I can say that every relationship I had, including my ex-husband, was definitely anxious attachment. Lots of jealousy, lots of control, ambiguity, entitlement, delusion. I would get gaslit many times, being accused of having relationships when in actual fact, especially my ex-husband's case, he had several and children with several of his relationships during the marriage. So there's a lot in there. There can be a lot of gaslighting. Be aware of your language around your children. Don't gaslight them. You might not even be aware that you are. Don't, and what I mean by that is if they share something with you or they remember something, don't put them down for it. Say, oh, that's not how it was. You don't remember, you stupid child. You might want to go away and think about that because that's not true. No, that's way too aggressive. And I know you might be really at the end of your tether, but do your best because it will benefit you in the long run. Attachment styles are not fixed. They're not like horoscopes, okay? And with the right environment, the child can heal and change before it's too late. I hope this helps. I'm going to put some resources at the bottom. As always, please click the subscribe button because I have lots of videos coming out on these subjects and many more. And I love your comments. So if any of you want to share your stories anonymously, please do. I'd be happy to answer your questions if you have any questions. And all that it remains for me to say is keep well, stay safe. I'll see you soon. And remember to be very consistent with your child in a safe and secure way.